Prologue. Weddings. The event of a lifetime. One that every little girl dreams of. The best day of your entire existence, supposedly. What a joke. For before weddings came engagements, and sadly you're rarely told about those. Perhaps if I'd been better prepared. Mine would have lasted. I was engaged at the young age of 17. Early engagements were common amongst us shifters, or amongst werewolves, as other species called us. For engagement led to marriage, which led to mating bonds. And a mating bond was what every shifter thrived for. Unfortunately, my engagement only led to heartbreak and no mating bond. For while I'd been expecting a wedding, I hadn't been expecting love. All my life I'd been prepped to get engaged, married, and mated, yearning for, if not the best day of my life, at least a memorable moment. I never thought I'd end up with no recollection of my wedding day whatsoever, nor that I'd marry someone I didn't choose. Someone I didn't choose and who'd already been taken. For what I really hadn't seen coming was that I would become the wife of my little sister's mate. Though completely by accident, of course. 1. Why is the shower running? Is the first thought that goes through my mind as my eyes snap open. Not where am I? Which it should have been, for I don't recognize this vast, luxurious bedroom I awake in, nor what am I wearing. Though that particular one quickly follows the first because I'm barely wearing anything at all as it turns out. Only the tiniest lingerie ensemble I've ever seen in my life. I don't even think yet about how my hands being tied to the bedpost might be slightly alarming, especially because I don't remember ever agreeing to such a thing. I only wonder about the background sound of water pouring onto a marble surface. Someplace close, but out of view. I'm alone in a bedroom I don't recognize, dressed in lingerie and tied to a bed. I don't remember how I got here. I don't even know where here is. But most importantly, there's someone close. Someone in the bathroom shower who's bound to come out sometime soon and find me in what I can only assume is their bed. It certainly isn't mine. Gut-wrenching shame forbids me from making any sudden movement. How terribly embarrassing. God, I can only hope whoever finds me in this bed doesn't know who I am. Please don't be a shifter, I tell myself, staring at the black marbled ceiling while clenching my teeth. Or at least, not one I know. Not an important one. A rogue shifter with no connection would be ideal. Then again, how humiliating would it be if I'd followed some poor, unassuming rogue with no connections or background to his bedroom? I digress. Focus, Vivien, I tell myself, inhaling a long, calming breath. I hold it in while counting to 10, and release. Time to be strategic. I pull on the handcuffs, but they remain in place, burning against my wrists. And then, the shower turns off. It's definitely not a human in there, I conclude, briefly closing my eyes. A shifter's scent is permeating the room. I can't believe it took me this long to pick it up. Yes, I'd been unconscious, but... Actually, now that I think about it, how did I even lose consciousness? The details of the evening are somewhat blurry. What's the last thing I remember? My little sister's party by the hotel's pool, perhaps? No, I'd gone back to my room. I remember its white marbled floor and cream-colored sheets as I fixed the ceiling that seemed to spin out of place. This room I'm in now doesn't smell the same, but there are some similarities. A background fragrance from the outside gardens mixed with the woodsy materials of the furniture and the artificial tint of interior perfume. I'm in the same hotel I was in when I fell asleep, I conclude. That's a fact. But how did I switch bedrooms? What could have possibly compelled me to come here and let myself be tied to a bed, dressed in... I look down at the green, somewhat transparent corset currently compressing my breasts and grimace. It's not one that I own. I have no reason to buy or wear such items. I must focus. I came to this hotel to visit my sister. She lives here with her mate and husband, the hotel owner. I didn't come here alone. Other members of my pack had accompanied me, including my alpha, his mate, and... I shiver in horror. If Jake learns about this, if it somehow comes back to him that I found myself in lingerie tied to a bed by some stranger, I'm never, ever going to hear the end of it. A vivid image of his self-satisfied, mocking smirk stretching all the more in the knowledge of my misery pierces through my mind. I pull on my handcuffs again with all my strength and manage to tear one of them off. My right hand now freed, though the left is still painfully holding me back from fleeing the scene. And then my time runs off. The bathroom door opens, steam billowing out and clouding the air with warm, damp mist. I catch my breath as a figure steps forward, initially obscured by the haze. The steam settles, his form becoming clear, towering and imposing, his physique sharply defined. The scent of another shifter hits my nostrils, vaguely familiar. It is the deep, overpowering scent of an alpha shifter. No doubt about it, though there's something about it that feels... too much. Intense and dizzying. The alpha moves closer, and my eyes travels down to the towel slung low around his hips. Water droplets glisten on his taut skin, tracing the contours of his muscular body.
Vivien, you're a sight for sore eyes.
The man purrs while my eyes are still stuck detailing his broad shoulders. Though upon hearing the sound of his voice, they immediately snap to his face to confirm what I already know, which is that I've heard this voice before. I recognize who it belongs to. Firm and well-defined lips curve into a faint smile as I take in the rugged features of the man before me in disbelief. I must be hallucinating this tousled brown hair, still damp by the shower. I must be dreaming this strong jaw slightly shadowed by stubble which comes into view. I must be imagining how this particular set of eyes, a deep shade of brown, intense and piercing, roam my barely covered form so appreciatively, and how his lips, firm and well-defined, curve into a faint smile. If I were anyone else, my jaw would have probably dropped in shock, though I'm me and my mouth remains politely closed in a tight line.
What's with the frown?
The man teases, lowering himself down on the bed slowly, like a predator approaching its prey. I'm no prey, yet shock stuns me motionless for a moment too long. I know this man. He is indeed an alpha shifter, the owner of this hotel amongst many others, and none other but my little sister's mate. My sister's mate who's currently looking at me like he's about to devour me whole. 8 hours earlier, on a terrace outside the same hotel I wake up in, Margot looks radiant in her light lavender dress. The material shimmers delicately under the warm glow of the thousand of candles that have been lit up around the pool terrace. My sister clearly spared no expenses setting up her mate's birthday party. The entire set up a mix of elegant luxury and subtle declarations of love for Kieran, who's smiling brightly besides her. They look happy, the two of them, considering. Could the marriage of convenience have turned into something real? Perhaps, for Kieran. Margot, though. She's our mother's daughter through and through, so it's harder to tell. We look alike, her and I tell myself as I meet her eyes. We both have the same light green orbs and dark red hair, white skin, and slightly pouty lips. It is obvious we're sisters. But while Mother used to call Margot beautiful, she'd used to tell me I was perfection as she brushed my hair every night before bed. The face of a queen, she'd say. Well, Margot's the queen tonight, that's for sure. She's won. Mother will think so, at least.
Viv, we need to blend in.
Harry tells me, snapping me out of my trance.
Try to smile or something.
His expression is carefully blank, likely because he's hoping not to attract attention. A rather difficult feat for him, going unnoticed. Harry is one of the most powerful alphas of the country, and we're currently surrounded by other shifters, none of which who've failed to notice. I don't see your mate anywhere. I reply, schooling my features to face him.
I'm sure she'll be here soon.
Harry replies, giving me a quick glance over.
You look nice tonight.
Don't let her hear you say that. I snort, taking a sip from my champagne flute. In truth, I'm somewhat flattered he thinks so, despite the detached, unaffected way he said it. My sister is currently on the arm of an alpha, while I'm merely standing beside mine, discussing his mate. So I can't help but wonder if, perhaps, a lighter, more summerly color like the one Margot is sporting would have been better suited than the black one I've chosen. It's stupid because you can't ever go wrong with black, but... Margot is making her way towards us, a confident smile grazing her lips. I instinctively square my shoulders.
Remember, we came here to ask her about Seth.
Harry whispers. Well, I certainly didn't come here because of her great personality. I snap, before smiling innocently at my sister.
Vivien.
Margot greets me, opening her arms. I don't know what she's playing at, neither of us are huggers.
So happy you could make it, and with Harry as well.
She politely inclines her head to him, as is custom.
Good to see you, Margot.
Harry replies, though his attention is quickly diverted by another guest who arrives to greet him. I'm left alone with my sister, who I haven't seen nor spoken to since her wedding 5 years ago. We both take a second to assess each other more closely, no doubt with the same intent to find a flaw to exploit in the game about to unfold.
So? Did he bring her here?
Margot asks, looking around with an exaggeratedly excited expression. Who do you mean? I reply, only rolling my eyes in the privacy of my mind. She's being obvious, and I know exactly what's coming next.
Harry's mate,
Margot replies, her smile spreading dangerously.
I hear she's quite... something.
My fingers clench a little more tightly around my glass. Something? I ask challengingly. I want to see how confident my sister has gotten. I want to know who she's become, as the queen to this pack's king. Margot's eyes meet mine. It's like looking in a mirror, seeing her stealing herself.
Well, I heard she'd been turned. That's something, isn't it?
I'm surprised. This isn't an overly aggressive question, merely a curious one, and I can't blame her for it. Werewolves are rarely ever turned. Most of us born as we are. While a bite can induce a transformation, humans ever rarely survive it, and so it's really miraculous Emma had. So no, I don't blame Margot for her curiosity. That said, I'm left to wonder how she found out about Emma, and that she intended for. She wants me to know she holds some power now. There's power in information. It's true. I reply, adding nothing more. You have no power over me is the intended reply here. I don't care what you think you know. Margot frowns. It's barely noticeable. But she's my sister. I notice.
And is it true they're fated mates then? Her and Harry?
My spine tenses. It cannot escape Margot's notice.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that, darling. There wasn't anything you could have done. Even Mother doesn't blame you for that missed opportunity. She of all people knows you can't do anything against a fated bond.
I never wanted to mate with Harry. I interrupt. I'm happy he's found his fated mate. Finding your fated mate is something most shifters dream of, at least when they're young. Though, as we all know, there's very little chance of that happening, and most of us choose a mate instead, or are arranged to be bonded with one by our families. Before Harry and Emma, I'd only met 2 other fated pairs. One of them was a packmate's. The other, my father's. Margot gives me a knowing look. It's the look of someone who'd shared that day with me. The day Father had left us, and the years that had followed. I haven't come here tonight to reminisce. In fact, if it wasn't of the utmost importance that I ask Margot some questions, I wouldn't have come at all. But that look of hers briefly makes me forget why I came here at all. For a second there, we're kids again. Margot's grasping at my hand, holding back her tears like I've taught her to do. Emma's over there. I tell her when I spot my alpha's mate amongst the crowd, hoping to change the subject. I maintain my composure even when my sister looks and sees what I see for myself, a young girl with long brown hair, pretty, but young and unassuming. She isn't even wearing what I told her to wear. She looks nothing like a queen.
Really?
Margot asks with a telling smirk. Emma's fine. I defend. She makes Harry very happy. Margot eyes snap towards my alpha. He hasn't spotted Emma yet, but he does seconds later. His face practically transforms at the sight of her. You'd think he'd found religion rather than a mate the way he stares at the girl.
Wow.
Margot says, something bitter in her voice that feels like an echo of myself.
He's got that look in his eyes. Just like Dad's, you remember? That insane I'd die without you look. It used to scare me.
I want to ask her if she's scared her mate will leave too should he ever find his fated pair. The urge to ask is strong. Not because I want to know, but because I do know. I know this does scare Margot because it would scare me. It scared me my entire life. I shouldn't have come here. Seeing my family only increases my bitterness to socially unacceptable levels. I'm walking away before I realize what I'm doing and instantly blame myself as I regain my senses a short while later. I shouldn't have let Margot get to me. There are more pressing matters at hand than our father's betrayal, or the fact that I still haven't found a mate to get our mother off my back. But meanwhile, my sister's with an alpha who's outdone himself, bringing his pack to new heights. His hotel stretches upwards into the night, a monolith of gleaming glass and steel, its windows reflecting the pool's azure gleam below. I watch elegant arches and expansive terraces wrap around each floor, a mix of admiration and envy pulsing through me like the subtle beat of the night's music. My gaze then drifts towards the silhouette of a woman in blue, who's staring at me from a fountain in the gardens nearby. Her strawberry blonde hair waving with the light summer breeze. I don't recognize her immediately, but when I do, I feel my wolf tensing against my mind. "Oh no," I exclaim because she looks intent on coming to speak to me. "No, not tonight."
"Then when? I'm running out of patience."
Words I hear as well as if they'd been whispered in my ears even though she is standing relatively far away. "Never." I bark annoyed. I thought I made myself clear.
Vivien.
I blink, surprised to find Kieran standing beside me. He looks exactly as I remembered him. All debonair, masculine energy, and heavy-lidded gaze.
Who are you talking to?
He asks, looking around. I scratch my throat discreetly. I hadn't expected the alpha to come and greet me personally, or at least, not privately. Margot surely wouldn't like it. I hope she catches us. "No one, it's nothing. Good to see you," I tell him, smiling a little more brightly than I should.
Is it?
Kieran teases, meeting my eyes. There's something behind his that unsettle me a little. Something warm, though perhaps somewhat too warm. Something dark. "Of course," I reply without thinking.
And do you like what you see?
My heartbeat picks up. I'm unsure what to reply, but he's quick to wave his hand around the hotel's gardens.
I mean, how are you liking your accommodations?
Oh, He did that on purpose, I'm sure, the smug bastard. You've done impressively well, Kieran. Congratulations.
You're impressed? You?
He laughs, sounding pleased. Don't make me repeat myself, you know I don't like that. Kieran sobers up, inclining his head politely, waving at someone a little further off, and I believe our conversation has come to a close. But then, he lowers his lips towards my ears, barely grazing the skin. To my great horror, my breath itches.
This could all have been yours.
He whispers to me.
If you'd only said yes that day.
Kieran, what are you saying? I'm shocked he'd allude to our almost engagement so directly. I didn't think he would. He truly is an alpha now. He wouldn't have dared before. My wolf is torn between the desire to retaliate and the one to submit.
Why didn't you?
Kieran drawls.
Say yes, I mean.
Does it matter now? I reply, careful not to make any sudden movement, not even exhaling a telling breath. What's done is done.
We could have had it all, you and I. We made sense. I know you thought so too, yet you refused me. I'd like to know why.
So it's an ego thing then?
Tell me why, Viv.
I think on my next words. It's true I considered being his mate. And looking at my sister's newfound confidence in what Kieran has accomplished here, a part of me wonders if perhaps I should have been. Do I wish I was the one in the lavender dress tonight, being praised and admired on the arm of this alpha? There's simply no use in wondering, is there? There's no changing the past and no point in explaining it either. 3. Present day back in Kieran's hotel room. Kieran is watching me intently, a slow, spreading smile grazing his lips. He's moving towards me slowly, deliberately, like he knows he's won and is in conquered territory. His scent, nearly dizzying, is dripping with a desire so sharp it's difficult not to be affected by it, especially when the touch of his fingers on my thigh turns more demanding. "What do you think you're doing?" I ask, remaining still for now. I'm slightly curious to see what he plans to do. He's my sister's husband, her mate. Does he think I'm going to ignore that and throw myself into his arms for some reason? I would never. Though I had come to his hotel for information. And while I thought I'd be more likely to obtain said information from my sister than from her mate, perhaps I can use the predicament I'm in to my advantage. Unfortunately, all thoughts of interrogation fly out the window when Kieran speaks next.
I'll only be doing what every husband ought to be doing with their wives.
He drawls, lowering his mouth to kiss the inside of my knee. It's so unexpected I hold back a gasp. Then he lowers down his mouth and kisses me again, lips lingering on the inside of my thigh. He's got some nerve, I'll give him that. "And shouldn't your wife be present for that?" I reply, more flustered than I'd like. Kieran's scent spikes up sharply, so brusque it feels like a slap, when I push at his shoulder with my foot to stop him from going further.
Do you not feel present, my love?
He asks, briefly licking his lips. I'm taken aback. He's acting like there's nothing wrong with what we're doing, like he isn't mated to my little sister. This total lack of remorse isn't what I expected from the man that had paraded her around only a few hours earlier at his birthday party. They seemed to get along well. If Kieran still held some regard for me, I never thought he'd be so brash as to act on it. But I'd been wrong, it seems. He's undressing me with his eyes, and I'm not exactly unaffected. In fact, to my horror, I'm rather enjoying it. A pleasant shiver running down my spine at the illicit nature of our current exchange. I need to focus. I'm in an alpha's bedroom, tied to his bed. I'd assumed I had too much to drink and perhaps found myself there more or less by accident. But I now realize that had been foolish. He'd taken me there. Was he going to let me leave? I need to tread carefully. Are we playing a game? I ask, breath hitching. Kieran's mouth is traveling up my leg, and my well-formed protests get stuck in my throat. It's been so long since I've been touched like this. It's disarming.
Would you like us to play a game?
I pull a little on the handcuff that still holds my left arm to one side of the bed. I'd prefer being untied for that. I tell him, heart beating surprisingly fast. From fear or from desire? I'm confused. Kieran grabs my free arm to pin it above my head.
I rather like you like this.
He tells me, face hovering above mine.
At my mercy.
He lowers his nose to my neck, inhaling my scent like a man starved. I know he'd desired me before, but that concept feels cold now. Light years away from the passion I seem to be awakening in him today. My own nose is buried in his dark hair. I'm assaulted by his scent. It feels erratic and dangerous, but not nearly as dangerous as how my wolf immediately urges me to relax in his grasp, to submit to his hold, like it knows misbehaving would get it in trouble. This isn't like it at all. Especially not with Kieran. He's courted me in the past. He's a strong wolf, one that rose to the rank of alpha in the last few years, proving his abilities all the more. But to the point of getting me to comply so easily? Kieran, I protest softly. Think about Margot. I feel the alpha tense against me, though this time his scent doesn't spike up. If anything, he seems somewhat inquisitive when he meets my eyes.
Your sister?
He asks.
You want me to think of your sister now? Here?
He looks so genuinely confused, I begin to feel offended on Margot's behalf. We may not be close. For how can siblings raised to compete against each other be close? And I had felt somewhat betrayed when she'd pursued a relationship with Kieran, a man who for a while had been meant to be mine. But she's still my sister. And prior to this evening, I'd thought, if anything, Kieran was at least a loyal mate. Don't you think you should? I snap, unable to stop myself. You made a promise to her, if you recall.
I really don't.
Kieran replies, furrowing his brows. To honor her and cherish her? To be faithful to her? Kieran had even claimed Margot on the night of their wedding, officially making her his mate as quickly as propriety allowed. I remember him leading her inside the reception area the following morning, staring at the mating bite on her neck with pride. The memory only makes his current blank expression aggravate me further. Is he really going to pretend he doesn't belong to another? Men, they're all the same, selfish and whimsical, not to be trusted for a second. One day they're teaching you how to throw rocks. The next they're leaving home with their new mate.
I've never promised her anything like that.
For goodness sake, Kieran, I was there. I growl, fighting against his hold.
I made those promises to you alone, for why would I go and swear my fidelity to anyone other than my wife?
I'm not your wife, I protest, voice wavering slightly. It hurts to have him pretend otherwise. It hurt that he married Margot, even though I was the one who broke things off with him first. It hurt then, and it still hurts now. Kieran grabs my face between his hands, brown eyes dark and serious, though somewhat concerned. He is about to speak when a knock on the door interrupts him.
Alpha.
Someone calls out.
Sorry to bother you.
Not now, Cole.
Kieran barks, gaze still on me.
I wouldn't insist if this wasn't a matter of life or death.
The man Cole presses as I hold my breath. Kieran hesitates a second more before releasing me.
Don't move.
He orders, grabbing some clothes from a chair nearby, which he quickly throws on as I avert my eyes.
I'll be right back.
Can't you release me before you go? I ask as he walks off towards the door.
Certainly not. Something has made you doubt my commitment to you. I'll be needing to rectify this misconception.
Kieran tells me darkly. I don't like it one bit. His face is serious as ever when he tells me over his shoulder before exiting the room.
You are my wife, Vivien. You've been my wife for the past 5 years. And mark my words, soon you'll be my mate as well. No more delaying. We've waited too long already.
Then he opens a door to greet a sturdy man with very short brown hair I get a brief glance of, before I'm left alone in his bedroom, still very much trapped to the bed. 4. 6 hours earlier during Kieran's birthday party by the pool. Would you mind getting me a drink? I ask Kieran to avoid answering his question. Why didn't I marry him? He'd asked. To be honest, I wonder myself at times. Such as now when he's smiling at me like he's seen right through my deflection but is letting me get away with it anyway, waving a server as requested. What's this? I ask him when I get offered a sophisticated-looking cocktail.
Our hotel's signature drink, a mix of lime and ginger. You'll love it.
Kieran says, adding when I take a long sip.
Though don't have too many, we use more concentrated alcohol since we're amongst shifters tonight.
I do like it. It's full of flavor but not too sweet. I give Kieran a smile, which I can tell pleases him.
If you'd been my mate, you could have had this every day.
He says in a joking tone, though his serious eyes give him away. Why are you so intent on revisiting the past tonight? I sigh, taking another sip to hide my genuine curiosity. Something flashes on Kieran's face, ephemeral and barely there, so brief I could have blinked and missed it. Did I imagine this flash of darkness? One I don't recognize? When he speaks next, his voice is controlled and measured.
I've always wondered. You'd said yes. Even your alpha agreed. Our packs had the entire engagement party planned.
Kieran, I warn, growing uncomfortable. I do understand his frustration. I never gave him a proper explanation when I ended things, even though we'd practically been a done deal at the time. I suppose he never had a clear sense of closure. But what he doesn't seem to understand is that there wasn't any real closure for me either, a fact that hits me all the more tonight. And I may had been the one to break things off, but he'd ended up mating my sister. So do I really owe him an explanation?
Was it something your alpha said?
Kieran asks, softly though with a warning edge that makes my wolf wary for reasons I can't explain. What is this undercurrent of danger between us I don't understand? And why does any of this even matter? Kieran has Margot now. No. I force myself to meet his eyes. His pupils seem wide in this light for a moment, dilated even. I briefly wonder why before insisting, Harry agreed to it, I told you.
Then why?
Kieran looks like he's trying to keep calm but losing the battle. Agitation clenching his jaw like his fingers do my arm.
Just tell me why, I need to know.
I hesitate on my answer. What would he most want to hear, I wonder? It needs to be something that'll flatter his ego and put his insecurities to rest. But it also can't be too forward or inappropriate. He is my sister's mate and husband, after all. I am about to speak. But then my wolf picks up a familiar scent from the crowd and I freeze.
Vivien?
Kieran asks, his voice lost in the rush of blood in my ears. Eyes quickly scanning our surroundings, I finish my drink to drown my wolf's nervous anticipation. Every whispered conversation's fading away. I hear him speak before I see him. And then I do. He's laughing, his head thrown back in what appears to be genuine amusement. He's faking it, I decide. Jake hasn't laughed like that since he was 15. I briefly glance at the person who's supposedly amusing him. A blonde woman in a black dress I'm certain is his type, since all women are. Do you find me funny? I ask Kieran, irritated by the infuriating stretch of Jake's overly confident smirk. He's had his blonde haircut since I've seen him last, and I don't like it. He was supposed to be on an undercover assignment, so when did he even find the time to get a haircut? Was he trying to look good for someone? Unbelievable. He can't be trusted for a...
Is that why you didn't marry me?
Kieran sounds confused about something, but I've no idea what.
Because I didn't laugh enough at your jokes?
Laugh at my jokes? What in the world is he even talking about? Don't be ridiculous, Kieran. I tell him, grabbing his drink from his hands. I don't even make jokes. Jake's blonde friend is staring openly at his stupidly gorgeous face, her awe so obvious it gives me secondhand embarrassment, which is why it takes a second for my brain to finally register what Jake is wearing. When it does, my irritation boils over into rage.
If you don't want to say...
Oh, fuck no. I exclaim, interrupting whatever Kieran had been saying. He blinks at me in surprise as I hand him back his now empty glass. I'll be right back. I excuse myself, walking off. I seethe internally, making my way across the gardens and behind the pool, eyes fixed on the abomination of a shirt Jake is sporting. My cheeks are burning with shame and fury. People are going to see him in it.